The Anaheim Ducks are on their longest winning streak since 2018. Great to have Jason Hernandez here to talk about the red-hot Anaheim Ducks on the Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Gil Martin here on the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, and it's my pleasure to welcome to the show the host of Locked On Anaheim Ducks, Jason Hernandez. Always great to have you here, Jason. And 4 games in a row for the Ducks. What is the big secret behind it?
I'll say they're playing mightily right now. One thing that I've noticed is the Ducks are playing with a little more confidence. And I've used this hashtag plenty of times, so I'm just going to yell it out for all the people watching. Let the kids play. Hashtag let the kids play. Mason McTavish is back. Jamie Drysdale doing his thing. Zegras is out right now, but it's a lot of the other young kids. Bo Grew, the 21-year-old, got his first NHL goal on Sunday night. And I have to talk about Troy Terry. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Troy Terry now has an 11-game point streak. He's got a point in 11 consecutive games. He's already surpassed his goal total from last season. He's putting up some career numbers. And I just want to point out this list because I thought it was kind of absurd. So his point streak is at 11 games. That is among the highest for the Ducks. And just above him on that list, these are some big names. You ready for this, Gil?
Go ahead.
12 games. Paul Kariya, Teemu Selanne. 13 games, Teemu Selanne. 14 and 15 games, Ryan Getzlaf. 17-game point streak, Teemu Selanne in 99. And the longest point streak in Ducks history, 19 consecutive games between October 21st and December 1st, 2009 by Corey Perry.
There you go.
So when you're on a list with Corey Perry, Teemu Selanne, Ryan Getzlaf, and Paul Kariya, the probable Mount Rushmore of the Anaheim Ducks, that's saying something right there. That really is.
That really is. And what is it about Troy Terry's game that has improved so much this year that he's off to such a hot start?
Well, I covered Troy Terry when he was a San Diego Gull. And one of the things that he was trying to do, he was trying to press a little bit too much and not let the game come to him. He was trying to do too much too fast. And he would wind up, scoring goals left and right. It worked in the American League. But when you get to the National Hockey League, it doesn't translate as much. And you can't be too selfish. You have to learn to play with your linemen, play with your teammates. That's a big thing. What's helped him this season is putting Troy Terry on a line with Ryan Getzlaf, who's always been very adept at passing, adept at getting those primary assists. Ryan Getzlaf was a big story in the NHL last week when he surpassed Teemu Selanne for the franchise record for most points for the Ducks. So yeah, Teemu Selanne had 988 points with the Ducks, and Getzlaf just passed that. And the recipient of those Getzlaf primary apples is Troy Terry. So having them on a line together, I think Getzlaf has helped boost his confidence. That's the main thing, is Troy Terry is playing with a lot more confidence. He's playing with a lot more finesse. He's really learning how to play much better on that particular line. It's one that should not be broken up right now. And looking analytically, they're kind of starting to get up there as one of the better lines in the league, believe it or not.
I believe it. The other thing that the Ducks are doing very well, special teams, both the PK and the power play. How big of an impact has Kevin Shattenkirk had as the power play quarterback?
I'm glad they're finally using two things. Shattenkirk's finally being used in a proper power play setup. And also, Shattenkirk's finally playing completely healthy. He apparently had a little bit of not injury, but he wasn't 100% pretty much all of last season. I know he had just come off of a long, extended Stanley Cup final run the previous year. He had, 2-3 months off, if that. And now Shattenkirk finally got a ton of rest this past offseason. that's done nothing but wonders. So him actually winning those 50-50 puck battles, something that had eluded him in the past season, that helps. Having him on the on the power play line with the kids, like I said, Troy Terry, not Bogu, no, Troy Terry gets lost on that line too. But then you have Jamie Drysdale once in a while when they do like the 2D, Zegras when he's healthy, and someone else that I do have to mention, Sonny Milano,
Mm.
also on that same power play line, has really done well with Kevin Shattenkirk on that particular power play unit. And another kid that's helping the older guys kind of resurrect their season. Shattenkirk being one of them. Something else that Shatty is doing a lot better this season is he's making the smarter passes. I know this is kind of like an insider, like a hockey stats term, but he's helping create more passes through the Royal Road, a lot more passes through the slot, a lot more effective passes where they get in that trapezoidal area to create high danger chances, which has really helped propel the Ducks to become one of the, I don't want to use the word elite. I'm afraid to use that word right now because it's a small sample size, but their power play is much more effective than in the previous 3 seasons. And I think the assistant coaching staff that has been to do with it, Coach Ward, Coach Stuthers, they've really helped iron out some of the wrinkles in that power play unit.
Another player who I think often gets overlooked but has been very effective for the Ducks early on. How about Adam Henrique?
How about Adam Henrique? You talk about a guy who's overcome a ton of adversity from last season, from being cut to nearly leaving the Ducks, and then all of a sudden throughout the summer he worked on his game. He didn't let all the naysayers say, "Oh, get rid of him." No, he won gold in the World Championships with Max Comtois. He was captain of that World Championship team. Something that Henrique has done differently this season is become more of a leader, become more of a mentor to the young guys and kind of teaching them how to play the game right. Just kind of like put your head down, put the work in, be unselfish. That's helped him on his game too. So I've liked seeing what's come out of Adam Henrique this season, kind of the redemption tour of Adam Henrique this season.
Yeah. There's a few players who are sort of on redemption tours, as you say. I mean,
Yeah.
Silverberg off to a very, very hot start.
Yep.
8 points in his first 9 games. Not necessarily what a lot of people expected.
I expected it. I expected out of Silverberg. I've always thought he's been a solid player.
I like him.
Yeah, he's always good for a good amount of points per season. He hasn't played every game so far this season, but the ones that he has played, he's been effective. And you mentioned Shattenkirk, you mentioned Henrique. This is also kind of not a redemption tour. I don't want to say a farewell tour either, because Ryan Getzlaf, there were some people saying, "Oh, Getzlaf's going to go somewhere else this season, and they'll get rid of that albatross of a contract." We got to talk about Getzlaf coming back to a much lesser money contract, taking much less money, and really becoming a humongous mentor to these kids. Like I mentioned, Getzlaf just passed Teemu Selanne. I don't know if everyone's aware, but Getzlaf's coming up to a huge milestone, and no one's talking about it.
And what is that?
1,000 points, 1,000 career points. Why is no one talking about that? I'm going to have to be the one to tell everyone, hey, guess what? 1,000 points. That's coming up soon, very soon. I predict it'll come late this month.
Okay.
So you might see me at the pond applauding and maybe tearing up because 1,000 points. Oh my gosh.
It's impressive. Not a lot of players.
We gotta talk about him more, I think.
We do. And his place in history as well.
You know what? I'm gonna come out and say it, despite what some other certain people are saying. No, Getsy's a Hall of Famer. He's a future Hall of Famer, and it's not just because of his NHL stats. I look at his international accolades as well. He's played very well in Team Canada, time in and time out. You have to look at that as well. Look at the World Juniors, etc. He's a Hall of Famer.
I would vote for him.
Yeah, I'd vote for him too.
I would vote for him.
Now, the jury's out on first ballot. Who
Right.
cares if it's not first ballot? I still think he's a future Hall of Famer, and I think getting to that 1,000-point marker will help cement it.
Yeah, that should definitely put him over the top on a few people's lists.
I would hope so.
Real quick, today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. I love Thanksgiving, all the good food and treats and plenty of them, but maybe you want a yummy dessert that isn't so full of calories and sugar. Well, it's the perfect time for Built Bars. Built Bar is the new holiday dessert. You could feast on something delicious and feel good about it. One slice of pie has upward of 300 calories, and that's on the low end. Most Built Bars are only 130 calories and only 4 grams of sugar with plenty of protein. So replace the coconut cream pie with a coconut Built Bar, or go for a raspberry Built Bar instead of that raspberry pie. Lots of good flavors to replace any pie. They're all covered in 100% real chocolate, low calorie, low carb, low fat, and high protein. And there'll be new surprises at built.com all month. Limited time flavors arriving regularly, so check the site often. And there's nothing like Built Bar Black Friday. Mark your calendar. Black Friday will be a huge event with all sorts of surprises. Go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15. You'll get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com.
One of my favorite flavors, by the way, the cookie dough chunk.
Oh, nice
It's
one.
really, really good.
It is good. It is good.
I'm going to piggyback off that promo really quick. I just qualified for New York Marathon next year.
Congratulations.
And, I had a Built Bar, during that run. Helped a little bit.
It certainly must have. That's great. That's great. Jason, why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers where they can find you on social media and where they can find the podcast?
They could find the podcast at Locked On Anaheim Ducks, which is free and available across all platforms, including Odyssey, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Smoke Signal. Oh, I'm kidding. Not Smoke Signal. Or Ham Radio. Or maybe a certain generation will know Ham Radio.
Smoke Signals, you have
Smoke
that?
Signals. Oh yeah. We have it on Telegraph.
That's right.
And also on the Twitters, you could find my personal Twitter at StimpyJD, as in that cartoon that your parents probably didn't want you to watch as a kid, but StimpyJD. And the show's Twitter is at LO_Ducks.
All right.
But right now, I am locked on Patos de Anaheim, since we just celebrated Dia de Muertos. And
I love it.
And Capitan Getzlaf. Why didn't I mention that? Oh, by the way, nickname from now on. Ryan Getzlaf's nickname is Capitan Getzlaf.
I love it. I love it. Jason Hernandez, thanks so much for joining us today. And good luck to you and the Ducks along the way.
Gracias, señor.
All right.